こんばんは。フォーレックス TV ニューヨークのレミです。1月28日月曜日の為替レポートニューヨークレビューをお伝えします。28日のアメリカ株式市場は大幅に反発しました。ダウ平均は176ドル72セント高の 12,383 ドル89セントで終えた。ナスダック総合株価指数は前週末比 23.71 ポイント高の 2349.91 で終えた。今朝発表された昨年12月のアメリカ新築住宅販売件数は1995年2月以来の低水準となりました。また29日から30日の米連邦公開市場委員会 FOMC で利下げ幅が 0.5% になるとの期待感で株式相場は買い優勢になりました。ニューヨーク為替市場でドルが欧州通貨に対して下落しました。ユーロドルは 1.4783 ドルから 1.4785 ドルで取引を終えた。また円相場では円安の動きからドル円は底堅く推移しました。円売りが優勢、クロス円も今朝の下げを取り戻す動きとなりました。ドル円は1ドル106円89銭で取引を終えた。ユーロ円は1ユーロ158円1銭で取引を終えた。それではトムソンファイナンシャルのジョール・クルーガーさんとのインタビューをご覧ください。Well, we're starting out the week with the US dollar weaker against the euro, and US equities have ended today's session higher, but the market is focusing on Wednesday's Fed rate announcement. The FOMC meeting begins tomorrow, and the market is pricing in at least 25 and possibly 50 basis points. So given these expectations, Joel, what do you expect to see in movement for euro dollar?
Right. Well, the euro is right now, as it usually is, you know, with what's going on with the volatility in the markets, it is at an interesting point. We're trying to, grapple with whether we're going to go up to 150 or whether we're going to start to head lower. Right now, the market's pricing in a 70% chance of a 50 basis point cut, and as we've seen over the last several months, it seems to be that the Fed normally, plays the hand of whatever the markets sort of dictate that they want, where they want them to go. If the Fed does cut 50 basis points, there's two ways to look at that in terms of price action, and really it comes down to technicals to determine which way you should be trading this. If the Fed does cut 50 basis points, there's the one side of the coin, which is the yield differential side of the coin, where people, again, they look to the attractive yield differentials that are widening in favor of the euro, and then you look to play that to the long side and possibly go up to 150. However, cutting 50 basis points, again, brings back these words that we saw a long time ago in calamity with the Fed and the sort of the times that we're in and the crisis we're in, and that suggests the fact that maybe the Eurozone they've been very focused on inflation, and they haven't really been focused on worrying about what's going on in the markets. Maybe they're very behind the curve at this point, and if the market starts to stress a little bit and panic mode sets in, then the euro is really vulnerable to coming off, which is where I hold. Over the medium term, I do think that the euro is susceptible to a larger sell-off.
Well, Joel, you mentioned inflation, and earlier in today's session we got comments from BOE's MPC, Blanchflower. He mentioned inflation, but he said at this moment in time, worrying about inflation seems like fiddling while Rome burns. That was an interesting comment.
Yeah.
But we saw that sterling strengthened against the dollar, which is interesting given UK fundamentals. But in the short term, are you bullish on sterling?
No, I'm not. I think that I think I happen to agree with Blanchflower. He was actually the only person who voted against leaving. He was in favor of another cut at the last meeting. I think he's right on. I think again, the BOE and need to be aware of what's going on with the UK economy. Last week there were some developments. Up until last week, the BOE seemed very dovish. They were going to be cutting rates aggressively into this year, and then all of a sudden last week you had King come out, you had the BOE minutes, and then Governor's sentence. All of them came out sort of expressing a more balanced, if not more similar to that of the ECB, focusing on inflation, not worrying so much about what's going on, aware of what's going on in the markets, but at the same time needing to be focused on inflation. I think that caught the markets off guard at the end of the week, and they absorbed that, and that's why you saw the sterling strength. and you saw that react in the price action. But again, I think that ultimately, technically, we've been coming down. We have rolled over the past several months. Cable is in this downtrend. I think that you're going to continue to see weakness, and really, I think it's just a question right now of we're in the process of more of a correction. Possibly we even go up to 201 area, but ultimately, over the medium term, I definitely would be looking to sell cable on rallies.
Okay, well, let's shift our focus right now over to the Japanese yen. Due to the fact that U.S. equities have gained in today's session, we've seen the yen crosses lifted due to this. But Goldman Sachs earlier said that Japan is in a recession, and we've been seeing weakness in that economy. So given that we've been seeing an unwinding of the carry trade, what's your forecast for the yen crosses?
Yeah, I continue to see weakness on the yen crosses. If you pull up a chart with any of the yen crosses, if you look at Euro yen or if you look at Aussie yen, they all show a similar pattern. They all show, we have been moving down. We've been making a series of lower highs and lower lows. And right now, it's just a function of the fact that we're going up a little bit, but it's just we're still within that lower high, lower low, sort of moving in a downtrend. So I think it's just a question of finding that lower top right now. We're trading up to a lower top, and then we're going to start to move back down. So my outlook for the yen crosses is to continue to see downside on the yen crosses, all of the yen crosses, and I think that in light of what's going on in the markets, and I think that volatility, it's one thing that people don't realize right now, or a lot of people are underestimating. The carry trade in years past, when it was so successful, it was so successful because vols were at low, they were at all-time lows, or they were fairly low levels, and that made the trade very attractive to investors. It was a low-risk trade that was yielding you a nice return on a day-to-day basis. Today, the carry trade doesn't offer that same appeal. You have volatility at extremely high levels, so it makes it a lot less attractive. So again, the trend right now is down, and I would continue to be looking to play the yen, long the yen, and short the yen crosses.
以上、トムソンファイナンシャルのジョール・クルーガーさんとのインタビューでした。ForexTV ニューヨークのレミがお伝えしました。最新の為替情報については ForexTV ジャパンをご覧ください。